Alright, so here is the Christmas tree synth. My Christmas tree has these lights that play little songs, and when I put it up this year, it just reminded me of being a kid sitting around the Christmas tree. Lots of nostalgia to it, so of course I figured I need to make a synth out of it. So here we have it, the Christmas tree synth. So I'll open this guy up and we'll just start with the samples to begin with. Just 4 samples. There's not a lot of notes to work with. This thing only has about a range of an octave. Originally it only has about a range of an octave or so, but now we can have more than that. So if we just go to the selector here, what I just want to point out to you is that, I'm going to close this, is this knob here controls that selector. So we start off with just this one note, but as we move it over we add another. You can hear it kind of chorusing. Another. And then we start to fade in another one, which is a looped sample. That gives you some sustain. I thought you might, by chance, just want that sustain note, so if you move it all the way to 127 here, you'll notice that only this sample will play. Okay? Kind of like it in its pure form, though. Some kind of interesting things, if you really crank up your octaves here, you start to get like these like percussive sounds. So at the extreme high end of the spectrum here, you're getting like percussive kind of glitchy noises. So that's kind of fun to know. I think it was also really low. But this here is the normal, natural scale sound. So anyway, we have our layer selector. I've also just thrown in the shaper right here just to give it a little grit. And what I've done is you turn up the shaper, you're turning down the volume a little bit so it doesn't just blast out. You get those harmonics without a super boost in volume. Okay, so I've put a delay on here and a reverb, and the way I did this is a nice little technique I recommend you try once in a while. It's I've made a rack here and I put 2 chains on it. One of them has nothing on it, so the signal just passes through normal, and the other one has a delay and a reverb on it, and that gets processed. And basically, as I'm going to trim that down, really need the knobs there. So as I turn up the delay, you'll see this knob move. So only half the signal is getting processed. I can play with the time. And I've set this to repitch, which gives you those nice analog delay sounds. Those are always fun, I think. And same kind of deal with the reverb. As you turn up the reverb, which we can't really see, you're turning up the dry and the wet, and you also have a control for the time, which you can see moving at the bottom right here. And I just gave it its full range in case you want some extremely long reverb. You play with that. One little thing I did to this rack is I put a compressor at the end of it, and I'm side chaining the compressor to this track itself. So basically, when you hit a note, this reverb sound or this delay sound is getting compressed until that note is done sounding, and then it opens up, which allows your reverb to kind of like duck out of the way when the notes hit, but then open up after they hit. So things don't get too muddy, so you can really like layer on the reverb here like I'm about to do. And still you can hear your notes I mean, I guess after a certain point you can't hear anything, but kind of just gets out of the way for you. It's a nice little trick. I like to use it a lot on vocals, especially, you know, if you want a lot of delay on your voice or reverb, you can have the words still clear, but you can still get your effect too. It's having your cake and eating it, I suppose. And lastly, I just threw on an arpeggiator. So as you turn up this knob, you turn on the arpeggiator. And as you play with this knob, you just change the style. And that is your AfroDJMac Christmas tree synth. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope you all have a great Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you, and thanks again for stopping by to check this stuff out. Have a great week.